Welcome everyone. I am Admin 1 of Any Effects, and this is Total Carnage Tour-Throughs, Boise Wonders Edition. Here in Boise, Idaho once again. This time doing a little tour of Parkcenter apartments and the general area around it, including a pond. Now, there are a few reasons why I'm doing a little tour through this area. First, most upfront one is that this is a place that for some time I've envisioned making a marathon map based off of. Now, if you're familiar with the marathon engine, you already know that some of this cannot be faithfully replicated as there are bridges and balconies. But with the general gist and layout of this area, and between some of the mapping techniques I've mastered and also some things I'm practicing behind the scenes, I think I could get at the gist of what makes this layout so appealing for a deathmatch kind of context. You know, there's a good balance between open space and fairly narrow pathways that you can still shoot across from. Just all these little byways and pathways in the middle. There's also a parking garage area that some trickery I could probably do. There might be some bridge trickery I could do, including based off of a pretty key huge part made by Windbreaker and Marathon Huge, but anyway. But I've known of the scenic beauty of this area for a time now, in part because I used to live here many years ago. And even back then, I had dreams of eventually making a map that was based off of this to a degree. But I just didn't quite have the confidence at the time to map at all. And I didn't get around to that for too long, really, but that's perhaps another story for another time. Suffice it to say, now that I think I have the ability to make maps that realize the kind of visions I have in my head, I feel compelled to visit this place again. I've already taken some pictures for later reference, but it might be better to have this video. So let's first brave the descent to the parking garage. This could be a nice, spooky, dimly lit area in which to have some skirmishes. Maybe there could be some fake pillar scenery. Maybe I could even do a shapes patch specifically for the map that would be embedded in there, which would include the marathon pathways into darkness columns, just to annoy Douche Tower, but not really. Not primarily, anyway. Here's the central elevator. You might have seen it above ground, but we'll get to that. You know what? I'll use this elevator later. I want to show you what the place is like when you walk through it from the front. And again, there is a very beautiful pond area close by that we'll be touring as well. So this is really a relatively low stakes relaxation video for if you want to bask in the possibility of structure and scenery and perhaps fall asleep in the process. Let's see, look at all the combat possibilities for this kind of structure. Let me know in the comments if there are any recommendations you have for coming as close as possible to replicating the structure, and also the types of additions or modifications you would want as far as, say, ammo or weapon or item placement, or just different artistic liberties, basically. Of course, there's also the possibility of basically creating marathon maps developed in a different engine that would allow for such things as bridges and balconies, say through Xcode, for example. I know there have been some people who have been graciously working on that kind of stuff, but barring that possibility, I can still find a way to get the gist of this right, I think. Here's a laundry room, and of course you can see all the wonderful verdant vines growing across everything. Some people have compared this place to like an Ewok village of sorts. There's the elevator stall, basically. Of course, that's extra incentive to learn to make multi-stop elevators or whatever. But even if not, I'll find a decent enough substitute that, you know, serves the right purpose I have in mind. Go up one floor. Boise is the city of trees for a reason. Never gets old to behold. Here's an example of the balconies. This is part of what I'm thinking about when I think about the nice contrast between big open spaces and corridors. And for that matter, I could probably make little rooms based on these areas with peepholes like that you can shoot out of. And of course, I would have to do more than just the regular 700 polygon template I've been using. I even have to edit the map more than I might think in order to get the map to run properly so that it doesn't crash from too many polygons and platforms. Have some kind of line error. You can see across the way here. Third floor. First thing that comes to mind as to what I might do to replicate this somewhat is to, instead of having bridges and balconies where it's one directly on top of the other like that, I would have basically terraced layers of raised platforms. I'll look into it. But it feels good to really distinctly feel that the realization of this old vision is finally somewhat within my grasp, at least insofar as I think I can do it in my own little way, taking various liberties. For example, for a diagonal path this way, I might just do like zigzagging squares. And that might create a whole different dynamic. course, there's always the chance that someone may watch this and basically make a you snooze, you lose edition, which is fine by me. And they can do it in the way that they would find more appropriate. But I'm not asking anyone to do that. Barring that possibility, I'll just have to find a way, and if nothing else, it's a nice tour through a part of Boise that I think is overlooked. But I am somewhat biased, I suppose, for reasons oops, scared the bird off. Reasons I'll get to in a little bit. But that have to do with the fact that I lived here at one point, spent part of my youth living here. We're going to go down to the pond area now. The best way is by going down on our right here. Lived in that specific one. That's where my mom lived, and I would go there every other week. Not much of note in there, really. It's a pretty basic apartment, but if I were to ever be able and willing to go in there, which I'm sure I can, I'm sure someone lives there, but it would basically be to go to the back porch, because the back porch afforded a very beautiful view through trees into the pond area that I'm about to show you. During times of years such as this one, I would frequently wake up and then go to that area and just overlooking the pond across a little bridge that we're getting close to. It was amazing because the trees were basically arranged in such a way that for a bit you can make believe that you're in some kind of faraway natural oasis far from civilization. It looked very dreamy. So that's one of my favorite memories, really, like peering through it during a sunny morning with all the verdant trees basically glowing and dancing like that out into the pond, shining and sparkling from the sun, and seeing a bird fly across the whole view. Like if we're thinking about classic FPS, many people will mention how they'll never forget when they played Unreal, the original, and stepped out from the wrecked spaceship onto Nyleave Falls. I joke that those morning visions, I'd step out to the porch and look out at the pond, was my Nyleave Falls moment in real life. So here we are, the bridge, next to some nice office buildings. I don't know what exactly each of these do or what they're for. Oh, something kind of fell. Don't you just want to paddle through the murk like this? Used to ride down around here on my electric scooter. For some reason, I always imagined when I got to the end, right about here, that there'd be someone waiting for me or some kind of strange creature waiting. Funnily enough, as I say that, there are a couple of people walking. I'm trying not to record anyone, just to be on the safe side, basically. there's got to be a way that I can learn about what each of these wonderful flora are, are, and then I could talk about them in greater detail in future videos like this. For now, I'm capturing everything. Here's the pond area, of course. I went fly fishing here a few times. It's funny, I often mentally associated this part of town with Doom. I think because I happened to basically explore the trilogy of Doom, the original, around the same time. Thus, when I would come out here, I would often visualize Doom situations. I would often imagine like Caco demons floating above the water over there. I think there are parts in the Inferno that this can be a bit reminiscent of. Used to be a Red Robin restaurant over here. I think it burnt down, but it's been replaced with something else. Anyway, this was one of the first places I thought of doing a tour of, a total Carnage tour through of, not only because of my memory of the apartment complex being possibly worthy of replicating for a marathon deathmatch map, but just the significance of it in general. It's a very beautiful place. Admittedly, it also holds some personal significance, because I just happened to live here during a formative period. It's about where the apartment room I lived in was, that I would look out into this scenery. Might be a bit more blocked tree-wise than before, but I'm not sure. But the early time of my living here was, I think, the last time I was ever fully sane. And so I haven't come back here very often since. The era was 2004 to early 2007, but on the occasion that I do, it's good because it's kind of grounding. It's like you can, to a degree, enter back into all your different thought processes of the time. You know, which ones to remember or continue and which to avoid that you might have improved from. Because those thought processes are triggered by the visual cues that have remained largely untouched for many years. So it feels good to come back here. It's like, you know, a bit of a reminder of the mission, as it were. It's always interesting when you have those Renaissance moments where you discover and realize things all at once. But it's particularly weird when it's like you gain all that equipment, so to speak, and then all of a sudden you like lose it. But there's always a chance to combine old knowledge with new insights and abilities. And this just seems like a good time to revisit the place anyway. Apart from that, let's just go around the perimeter of the pond. get a bit up closer to the water once I get to the other side. But I also wanted to go to this part because there's some very fascinatingly slick looking buildings that again fed into my, I guess, classic FPS renaissance of the time, but particularly Doom 2 for some reason. I think it's because of that.
Let me punch my Star Trek punch.
The telminess of playing it, and also just, I guess, the look of the building. Because it is a somewhat blocky city building. Alright, getting down to the moss. I'll make sure not to drop the phone. The yellow balls. Even now I wonder at the purpose and function of these buildings. So this is a bat roosting box. Maybe at some point I'll revisit this area and talk a bit more about that bat situation. How they're affected by the lumbering. See if I can see anything on the outside that would indicate what all this is for. Looks fascinating. Even threateningly slick, but I'm not even sure if I'm permitted to enter or if the doors will be openable right now. In any case, though, this makes you think more of like a solo level. Always has. I think the scenario marathon travel would be best suited to it. This kind of tree too. I would definitely like to do more thorough research on stuff like this and have more to talk about it during one of the next Total Carnage Tour-Through videos. Anyway, if you've never been to Boise before, I recommend it for things like this. And this is probably one of the more regular, less extraordinary spots to visit. Significant. I like all those dark tinted windows. Here's the tour map. 60-mile walking loop. I won't go that far, but most of the area I wanted to cover has been covered. I do still need to ride in that elevator, but I want to give you a look at, firstly, the Albertsons building across the street from here, and also just how the whole area looks on the other side. I've been thinking, since I have these pre-stream slides, sorry, some of which are videos rather than just still images, it could be good to get a video clip of some of these parts that's more still, especially around dusk. The sun starts setting. Things move in a totally different way. It does in all parts of the day, all seasons. Well, of course, I'm biased. So, this is like headquarters. It looks deliciously foreboding from the center. Almost looks like a greenhouse there. Front part of it. Get a good vantage point. I think this is a good one, but right about here. Should also mention I had a lot of visions about a different strategy game, level designs based off of places like this. So you can't really see the apartment complex through the trees, but that's about where it is. Yeah, I think that covers it. So we'll begin our trek back now. Complete with nose and throat noises that I know you all love to hear. There's a little duck family out there. Might get a closer look soon. Falling asleep yet? There are often a lot of geese around here, or at least that's how it was as I remember it. And so unfortunately for us this time, they haven't seemingly been out here for a while because there were little to no geese droppings over there. Usually I remember them being there almost all year long, really. Trying to impress. Not much of this part of the video. I just thought I would show you what it's like going in reverse from where we just came. It's fascinating. Parts of this area almost seem like they're getting sorry, buried beneath the foliage. But it's a great place. And again, let me know about any ideas you have for creating marathon experiences based on what we've seen, whether for solo or deathmatch. There's no reason I couldn't use the same material for both in a way. A couple of ducks here, some fishers. See, no droppings. Used to be littered with them. A few tributes that departed along this area too. And off in the distance you can see the top of the Broncos Stadium. And some berries as well. All right, back over the mystical bridge we go. Still mesmerizing after all these years, I think. So we're rounding the corner back into the so-called Ewok village. Here it is again. A bit eclipsed by the light, of course. Blinded by the light, revved up like douche tower, moment in the night. Okay, I think I can just round that corner, past this wall of greenery, back to the complex. There's a little picnic table here. Oh, no. It's more blocked up than I thought. Yeah, probably no sense in trying to get through this way. Alright. Go a bit further in. Maybe there's a spot in this wall of greenery I could squeeze through. And I could, but it'd be too much of a hassle. I think there's a fence blocking it anyway. Also might get in trouble if I try that. Okay. From the top to the bottom we go. And we'll be out of here. Almost said the wrong one. Yep. Same type of graffiti I used to see in here all the time. Alright, since we came in this way before, let's go out this way. I like the light shining down that way. Some nice dripping noises too. Bits of trees you can see through, like right there. Charmander. Thank you very much for joining me on this Total Carnage tour through. Let me know in the comments, not only again, any ideas regarding level design based on what we've seen, but your overall impressions of this place, or anything I've covered really, or any places once you've gotten a sense of place really, or that you've believed are formative, or that have perhaps even inspired your own creative design ideas for level making or whatever else. Who knows, maybe I'll do another video of this place, but one that's a bit more detailed, with some acquired knowledge about some things I've observed that I researched behind the scenes. It's a pretty nice looking place across the street as well. A few buildings that way, in fact. Well, I think that's it. Thank you for watching and have a good one. Maybe you're asleep by now. All right.